Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Angelina. For those of you who don't already know me, I am a holistic esthetician and I also practice laser skin rejuvenation and laser hair removal, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. So laser is very popular, as most of you probably know already. It is considered mainly laser hair reduction. The only permanent form that is approved by the FDA is electrolysis, which is what I started out with at school learning. Electrolysis is a little different because it uses a small probe that's inserted into the hair follicle in order to permanently kill the follicle. It's much more time consuming and a little more painful, so it's not as popular, but it is great for gray or lighter hairs because lasers don't catch very blonde, gray, or even red hairs. The way laser works is it's attracted to the pigment in the hair and in the follicle. So the darker and coarser the hair, the quicker that it will actually start to be removed. So that's kind of the way laser works. When you are getting a laser treatment, you need to make sure that the hairs are very short. You don't want them to be long or sticking out of the skin too much, because then they can be singed a little bit by the laser, and then that's when you start to smell it, and it can irritate you a little bit as well because it is kind of like a little bit of a burn. So the closer the laser is to the skin, the better treatment that you're going to get. So not everybody is a good candidate for laser. If you've got a history of skin cancer, if you have any sunburn or you've had exposure recently, it's best to avoid laser. And you also want to avoid getting any sun exposure in between your treatments because it can cause you to hyperpigment, and we don't want that. The light from the laser is stimulating enough, so if you do go out in the sun afterwards, that will likely happen. I personally have seen a little bit of that on myself when I didn't put enough SPF on and I went to the beach a little too soon. I did exfoliate and it helped to erase the pigmentation, but try not to do that. So today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of hair removal I'm doing on one of my friend's backs. So laser is not only for women, men enjoy it too. It's something great if you want to remove any back hair or chest hair, or even men will do some of their facial hair around their beard so they don't have to shave anymore. It's a great treatment. This machine that I use here at work is called the Soprano Ice by Alma Laser. I absolutely love it because it's way less painful than most lasers and so much faster. So this is the actual tip of the laser here, and when I turn it on, this area here actually gets very, very cold and almost ices over to an extent. So when it's on your skin, you're feeling the cold. And then when the laser is actually firing, it's just a very subtle hint of heat. So it's really not painful like a lot of the older lasers. Some of them will shoot cold air onto the skin, or you will have to use a Zimmer in order to cool the skin prior to the treatment. But this one has got the cold built into it already, so I love it so much. And then also, laser is something that you need to keep up with until you see your desired result. So generally you want to do it once every 3 to 4 weeks for about 6 to 8 sessions. So you're looking at a little bit under a year to achieve the total removal of the hair you're trying to work on. Try not to fall off, because if you wait too long in between sessions, you're almost like resetting the treatments. Hair grows in stages. So there's anagen, catagen, and telogen. So there is the growth stage, and then anagen is where you really want to get it at, which is where it's at its prime, where your hair is really the most thick, and it will actually be killed by the laser. So that's why you have to do it multiple times, because all your hairs are always in different stages of growth. So you want to get it at that anagen stage. So I will show you a little bit on how it's set, and then I'll give you a little rundown on how it's actually used. Okay, so this is the machine itself. I already turned it on, and it comes with a little key. So that's the first thing you do. Turn that on, and then it will allow you to access the machine. So you're gonna hear it boot up. There it goes. Okay, it turns blue. So you know it's on, and then at this point, this little handpiece will start cooling. So you'll see it might have a little bit of a frost on it. So there's a few different kinds of settings here, but we're just gonna go with hair removal. And you pick the sex. So generally, it doesn't really matter. It just says that because it looks a little bit better. But the settings are generally the same. And of course, I know how to set it, so it doesn't matter as much on the sex, but we are doing a guide today, so we'll go with that. And then it gives you the options of which areas. So today I'll be doing the back. And then the laser is set according to how coarse the hair is, how large the area is, and also the Fitzpatrick scale of the person that you're working on. So that's a whole other thing we can get into, but that's basically just telling you how light or dark their skin is, if they burn easily in the sun, and you also need to take into account any ethnicity, because if someone looks a certain way, you can't always judge it because maybe they have, you know, like more like Native American or European in them, which would definitely affect the setting of the laser. So basically you go area by area. 300 is equivalent to like 2 palms. So that's how big of an area that you're usually going to do. And then you can also decrease the size of the area here too if you're doing a smaller spot. So normally you break the back up into different areas, and then also I do his arms and shoulders, so that'll be a separate section as well. So before you start your laser treatment, eye protection is key. Because the laser is attracted to pigment, that means any pigment, including the pigment in your eyes, which is very concentrated. So in a laser room, everything has to be closed. There needs to be no windows, and if there are windows, there need to be covered. Same thing as mirrors, because the light can actually bounce off the mirror. So depending on what company you use for your laser, they'll have some fun goggles for you. So you're gonna put these cool things on and then give the goggles to your guest as well. If you're doing the face, they're gonna be a little smaller so they can't see any light. But for my guest today, we're doing his back, so these will work just fine.
So here I'm applying an ultrasound gel. This gel consists mainly of aloe vera. This particular laser does require you to use a gel. It acts as a conductor, and it also helps the laser to glide on the skin. Like I mentioned before, the laser needs to be broken up into different sections. So I like to start on the arm and then work my way over to the shoulders and then to the back. Each section is timed by the size of the area, so I'll know exactly when I need to stop. I've made my way to the lower back, and as soon as I finish with this side, we'll move on to the right side of his back to finish the treatment. The gauze is tucked in to protect his clothing. So once we're finished with the entire back, we will remove all of the aloe vera gel, apply some SPF, and have him come back in 4 weeks to finish the treatment.